let's talk about food. Because government has launched the Feed Ghana program, a major initiative aimed at boosting food production, reducing the country's dependence on food imports, and creating jobs across the agriculture-related sector. According to a 2022 report by the Ghana Statistical Service, 13.4 million people in Ghana are food insecure. Now, meanwhile, the Global Food Banking Network reports that food worth 762.2 billion cedis goes to waste in Ghana every single year. And we've got this to illustrate the point. So there you have it, 13.4 million people in Ghana. I mean, they go to sleep on an empty stomach. And I'm guessing that this night, a lot more people will not have food to eat before they go to sleep. And they don't even know when their next meal will come from. Right, so that is a trend in terms of quarterly basis. And in 2022, 15.2, it came down to 13.1, went up slightly to 12.6, and now currently at 13.4 on the average, which to me doesn't bode well for a country that prides itself as having a fertile land for agricultural purposes. Well, and of course, so what is the difference between this Feed Ghana initiative and, of course, the Planting for Food and Jobs that was moved and piloted, implemented by the Akufo-Addo administration? What are the key objectives of the Feed Ghana program? Joining me for this conversation is Dr. Peter Boama Otukono. He is the Director of Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness at the Presidency. We'll also be joined by a poultry farmer, Joseph Wachi Yadom of Joris Farms and Food. But before that, this is what government is intending to do with the Feed Ghana project. Allocation for initiatives under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture 2025, 924 million Ghana cedis. That's 58.6% of total allocation to the ministry. I'm talking about the budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. So government wants to establish farmer service centers for mechanization, training, inputs, finance, market, access, and of course, processing. Again, government want to scale up production, also want to put premium on sorghum cultivation. Government want to reduce imports, invest in controlled farming, and promote school and community gardens, something that used to be a stay in Ghana. Government want to revitalize it so that people can have backyard farms to feed themselves. So there are a few things. So what you have on your screens are what government intends to do with the Feed Ghana program. Right, so let's get to understand this broadly, because government said it sits in this broader aim to make agriculture a mainstay of the Ghanaian economy. Of course, Dr. Peter Boama Otukono is Director of Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness. This is the man, and this is the sector. Doctor, good to see you. Good afternoon and welcome to the program. And if you can unmute for me.
Good afternoon and thanks for having me.
Great to see you. Great to hear your voice. It's been a while. So finally, the government plan to revitalize the agricultural sector is now up and running. Question people are asking, we've had Planting for Food and Jobs. How different is this from the one the MPP, put before Ghanaians in the last 8 years?
Okay, so first of all, last Saturday marked a new dawn in the agriculture and food production sector of our economy when we launched the Feed Ghana program. The Feed Ghana program is an umbrella program that seeks to drive food production, to improve availability, to improve accessibility, affordability, and most importantly, improved food nutrition. Now, the program is quite unique because it cuts across the various subsectors of the agro sector. And you would realize that under the Feed Ghana program, we spoke about the transformational grain development program. That is the grain and the legumes development program. We spoke about the vegetables development program, which we have dubbed the Yeridua. Then there's a bit about the livestock development program as well. And there is a bit about the key cash crop development programs and the targeted crops that we have selected in that space. Under these various programs that would be part of the Feed Ghana program, is an input supply strategy, which we have dubbed the Farmer Services Center, because at the heart of the performance of every farm or of every agro sector is the input sector. You need quality inputs for your farmers. You need the inputs to be available, consistent supply chain, and you need the inputs to be affordable. And so to get these programs efficiently implemented is having one-stop shop for the farmer to get access to input support services, extension or information services, storage and post-harvest management services, mechanization services, agro-processing services, and most importantly, market services. And so the Farmer Service Center would herald the implementation of these various programs. You would realize that
I just want to find out where you hope to locate these centers so that it is closer to the farmers.
So the farmer services centers would be located in all the agro districts of the country. And we are designing these centers as convenient as possible to be close to the farmers. I mean, wherever in every district that farmer service center is positioned should be easily accessible to the farmers, because we are looking at a regime where over 2 million farmers could benefit from these farmer services centers. And the whole idea of the farmer services centers is to control input prices. And so when you are able to put this farmer services centers in the strategic agro districts of the country, then you are going to have a standardized way of pricing the inputs from seeds to agrochemicals to fertilizer, and you don't have differential price performance in some areas. Some are paying more, some are paying less. It becomes standardized in such a manner that you are able to use that to control food prices, because if the input prices comes down, then it brings the cost of production down, and when it brings the cost of production down, then the cost of the food on the market will go down. Again, as part of this program is to target 7 food crops.
Right.
And so you heard the president last Saturday talk about targeting maize, targeting soybean as one of the key legumes, targeting rice, targeting sorghum, and on the vegetable side, targeting tomatoes, onion, and pepper. Whilst we are going to be producing additional vegetables, this Feed Ghana program is targeting the exponential growth of these foods, because this form the basic regular feed ingredients of the Ghanaian food systems. And so you get your bangkun, you get your cocoa, you get your Hausa cocoa from there, and you are able to, through the production of the soybean, also develop the livestock sector, because the livestock sector also depends on the grains and the legumes subsector. And so if we are able to produce exponentially in outputs in this 7 food crops, we believe that significantly would be able to bring the food cost down. Because when you look at the protein sector, one of the key cost components that drives inflation is the price of poultry products. And the ordinary Ghanaian have now shifted from just eating whole chicken to poultry products. And that is what has created business for the importers. And we are driving almost $400 million every year out of the country. Whilst at the same time, we are in an IMF program that is giving us $600 million to as it were, help us in our balance of payment. And so it doesn't make sense. It's a big shame.
At all.
And so government must now drive these areas to grow exponentially in an accelerated manner. And that is why under the Livestock Development Program, President Mahama announced our Poultry Farm to the Table initiative and the Akoko Nketenkete initiative. the Akukon Ketinketi initiative ostensibly will be targeting household income and household food security needs. Then the poultry farm to the table will look at more of the commercial production of poultry, where we'll be looking at the poultry products and eggs and so on and so forth. And so we believe, all in all, if we are able to implement this program significantly, to turn the fortunes, the agro fortunes of this country. And questions
if you can just hold it for me briefly, Doctor, because you touched on the poultry sector, President Mahama did not mince words when he described as unacceptable the fact that we spend over $400 million importing chicken every year into the country. Let me bring in, before I let you continue, perhaps it will help put the discussion in proper context. Let me bring in the CEO of Joe Rees Farms, Joseph Boachi Iyadom. Mr. Boachi Iyadom, good afternoon and welcome to the show. If you can also unmute for me.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Iyadom, good afternoon and welcome to the Pulse.
Good afternoon, Elton, my brother.
Great. So also on the line is a presidential advisor on the agricultural sector, the director at the Office of the President advising him on this particular sector. Now, President Mahama yesterday says that he finds it unacceptable that we are importing chicken into the country worth $400 million every year. Is it a case that you as a poultry farmer don't have the capacity to meet demand, or what?
Thank you very much, and thanks to your studio for giving me this opportunity. The Ghana poultry industry has the capacity and the efficiency to produce, to feed Ghana and even export. But then, you see, poultry over the years has been looked down by successive governments, in the sense that people who are drawing the poultry sector back are the people who are leading the poultry sector. Let me give you a typical example.
Right.
Over the years, and I want to engage the Honorable Minister to, for instance, this government must first of all do a thorough audit of investments that have come into the poultry industry since 2012. Over the years, I think as a poultry farmer, the NDC government has better policies for the poultry industry. In 2012, between 2012 and 2014, they brought the broiler revitalization project, which was unsuccessful to me. Then after that, a lot of government interventions have come into the poultry industry. A lot of donor agencies have come into the poultry industry. And as we speak now, there is a lot of investment in the poultry industry, which are going waste. So I will urge
investment like what exactly? Investment like what?
Sorry?
Investment like what? You said some investment are going waste.
Investment like the MasterCard Foundation has invested a lot of money. There is this food resilience, something, FSRP, that has invested a lot of money into the poultry industry. Ghana Poultry Project came in. The broiler revitalization under the NDC came in. The Rearing for Food and Jobs, which was a total flop, which I don't even want to talk about it, came. So there is the need for a total audit of all these interventions by government and these donor agencies.
But why are they going waste? Why are they going waste? Why is the investment going waste?
That's what I'm saying, that if all the money that has been invested in the poultry industry, and if they are to do the audit, will bring the total amount of money that has been invested into the poultry industry, who got what, who used what, and the state of the poultry industry now, then it will then help us going forward to make an informed decision as to how we go about it. The president talked about having about 50 anchor farmers. There is a project under the FSRP which has given money to over 20 anchor farmers at the moment. What are they using the money for? What are they doing? is this money supposed to go to them back? Or we are going to get new anchor farmers? What you see, the poultry industry, for me, the poultry farmers are the problem, not the successive government. So I will urge this government to first of all do a proper audit of the whatever investments have been given to the poultry industry since 2012, which will inform them as to how and where to invest. Because if we do, that's what I'm saying. We from last year June, about 20 anchor farmers, and I don't know the amount, but it's over 50 million Ghana cedis have been invested in 20 million, about 20 anchor farmers. What are they doing with the money? I am a poultry farmer, but I think the poultry industry doesn't need money at the moment. The poultry industry needs a total revamp, needs a total direction, so that whatever investment is made into the poultry industry is invested in the right people, the right way, for the right results.
All right, Mr. Yadam, hold it for me. Let me see if I can get Dr. Tukono's attention and to find out whether he's got a response for it. Dr. Tukono, so this is a farmer, and these are his concerns. I don't know whether government is looking into these and how best they can help, whether there should be an audit, and then that will lead to revitalization of the sector.
Okay, so I am particularly excited about the revolutionary views of my colleague farmer in dealing with the real cause of the problem. Because essentially over the years, governments in and out have done some efforts to, as it were, cut down the importation of poultry, some which under President Mahama was exceedingly successful. But in the last 8 years, we have seen how we have drawn back on the gains that we made under President Mahama, and that's what my colleague farmer is talking about. But essentially, it's a matter of truism that the management of some of the programs in the past years were not that efficient enough. And so you have the case where rent seekers were taking advantage of it. And the thing about policies or interventions that are meant to mitigate the cost of production and to expand production is that if you are not careful, you suffer the problem of adverse selection.
Right.
And that's when politicians and the decision makers, decide to eat on the program or the initiative. And so the monies do not go to the right places, and you will not be able to recover. That has a very significant impact on sustainability. And so what is going to be very different, or what we have done different even in the past under the broiler revitalization program, was to control the consumer end, the importers end, and the production. And so whilst we were looking at investing in production through an outgrower system and anchor farmer system, we were also controlling the importation of the frozen foods.
Right.
Because if you don't control the importation of the poultry products, they can produce the poultry product, the broiler, but they will not be able to find markets for them. And they would have issues with, getting the meat to the market. I know that in recent past, one of the key challenges of some of the farmers who benefited from the program was that the birds were ready and they didn't have offtake. And some of the products went bad. And so you would have to tackle this problem comprehensively from the point of eliminating the adverse selection, making sure that the right farmers with the right competency and the right capacity are given the support, and making sure that you have recovery mechanisms to assess and monitor those who benefit from the program. And so I give you 80,000 beds. You are supposed to make sure that you produce 80,000 equivalent of meat products. You understand? And so if you are giving 80,000 to one anchor farmer, that anchor farmer shouldn't take all the 80,000. That anchor farmer should be able to tell me that he's having about 20 outgrowers who are going to grow at least about 2,000, 3,000 birds each, so that it enhances the management of the birds. And for that matter, you are able to harvest in time and you are able to account properly. When you don't put all these mechanisms in place, it makes recovery very difficult.
Very difficult.
And when you have done that, then at the product level, These days, people don't buy birds full. And so they like the chicken breast, they like the chicken back, they like the chicken leg and chicken thighs. And so you must look at the aspect of processing, which would be very key to the success of the program. And so in this poultry industry revitalization program, we are looking at various levels of the value chain, including feed production. If you don't get your feed quality right, you would lose out on recovery. If you don't get the management of the farms right and the system for the distribution of the birds and all that right, you would lose at the end. If you don't get the point of processing right, you will lose at the end.
But I'm getting just, Doctor, I'm getting...
Before you come in, the most important one, the elephant in the room, is the importers and those who are into the business of importing. If government does not use regulatory measures, or if you want tariff measures, I'm particularly against more of tariff measures, but use regulatory measures to cut down the importation so that the local poultry farmer can survive. You will not be able to succeed in this business. And there are models that have succeeded elsewhere across the world. Go to the Brazils, go to the Argentinas who are now taking over the poultry market across the world. It is because they use tariff measures. Particularly at this time when there is trade war all over the place, I think that this is a very great opportunity for us to use other regulatory measures to cool the production of poultry products in the country and create opportunity and jobs for our teeming young people and those poultry farmers out there. I'm a poultry farmer myself, and I know the challenges that the poultry farmers go through. And this is the time that we believe with our poultry industry revitalization program, we would be able to plug some of the bottlenecks that is confronting productive poultry farming in the country.
I just wanted to come in briefly because I know you are running to another meeting, and there appears to be a lot of interest in the poultry industry, especially. A text message I'm just getting from the person describing himself as a farmer based in the Buana region. He says that under the MPP administration, when they had access to money from the MasterCard Foundation and other government intervention, when some of the farmers got to know that they were not going to pay the money back, some used the money, instead of investing it into their farm, used the money to buy vehicles. Some after growing the chicks, sold them to Ivorians at very ridiculous prices. And this is the reason why Doma, which used to be the mainstay of poultry farm in the country, is now virtually on its knees. I don't know, in terms of the support you give to farmers, how you are going to monitor to ensure that they stay within the conditions upon which whatever support will be given.
And so these are the kind of policy implementation inefficiencies that I was referring to. And I mean, clearly it's a case of adverse selection. If indeed you have done your work very well in selecting the farmers, no farmer worth his salt and interested in the business will go and use it to buy cars. There are some instances where they give those allocations to new farmers who don't have the experience, who don't even have the passion. Okay, there's a program and they are giving goodies, so let me go for mine because maybe I know the minister or I am part of the government or something. And these are things that contribute to the policy inefficiencies that we are talking about. And as part of this new program, that the poultry industry revitalization program, that is some of the key problems that we are trying to eliminate. And I believe that we would be able to succeed. And we have done it before. Let's make sure that whoever is coming in for this program, whoever is benefiting from this program, is having the experience, the know-how, the knowledge, and above all, the commitment and willingness to grow in the business. Not just giving it to people and expecting it to be a reward for the work that they have done for government or the party or something like that. And so those are the things we believe would eliminate the case of adverse selection and rent seekers. If we are able to do that, we would be able to recover whatever investment that we put in there. Under MasterCard, they are doing that as a social intervention, most of which as grants.
Right.
But because it's grants, people just take them, and the implementing agencies do not also focus on recovery. And so if we put the right mechanisms in place to monitor from the beginning to the end, I believe that we'll be able to control the levels of recovery, and that would enhance the efficiency levels of the policy. And so that is one of the key ingredients of these new interventions that government is working on through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Because of time and you have to run, so in the next, by 2028, what kind of sector do you want to see, the agricultural sector, in the next 4 years with this Feed Ghana program that you've launched? what kind of sector do you anticipate to see in the next 4 years?
First of all, we are looking at solving our grain demand and supply problems so that we do not import grains, particularly the legumes in the subsector of soybean. Soybean is one of the key drivers of the livestock industry, and because we used to export the small that we produce, it was becoming a problem. And so we are looking at developing the soybean value chain so that we'll be able to provide the soybean meal for the poultry farmers, the pig farmers, and so on and so forth. We want to grow not only the poultry sector, but the pig sector and the cattle and goats, because you know the typical Ghanaian takes preference is more into the goats and the cattle meat and the pork and so on and so forth. And so these are areas that we are targeting. And we are also targeting the tubers with our yam. You know, with the Ghanaian home does not go without yam, does not go without cassava. And so we are looking at growing all these key food sectors of our economy so that we can build some level of food systems resilience against any international shocks. What we have realized post-COVID is that because of the COVID situation, our food systems were really challenged. And that is one thing that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, through the leadership of Honorable Eric Opoku, is doing to develop our food systems in a manner that we are resistant to external shocks. So if you're able to produce all your food ingredients in Ghana, and you know the kind of foods that Ghanaian eat, and you're able to supply the food ingredients, you have a sustainable supply chain, then it means that when there are external shocks, you don't get worried. When the wheat countries are in crisis, you don't fall short of wheat because you have developed systems locally that allows you to produce your own feed and eat your own food. The days when we used to eat a lot of fufu and banku is now going. Now we have shifted to Indomie. And the Indomie is not domestic in terms of our food systems because it is produced mostly from flour, which is wheat, and which you don't grow in Ghana. And so if everybody is eating Indomie, it means that your economy, when there is any external shock, will go into crisis. And so these are some of the things that government is looking at to build our food systems in a resilient manner so that we don't get shocks, getting us go begging.
What about cutting down the importation of tomatoes and onion from neighboring countries?
Essentially so, and that is the purpose of the Vegetable Development Program. We are anticipating that in the next medium term, we would be able to shoot up our tomato production through the various initiatives, including the greenhouse programs and the urban agriculture program, to cut down the importation of tomatoes because essentially we are producing more from our own farms and onions as well. We anticipate that the needed investment through the Feed Ghana program would yield that needed resource because of the policy measures that we are going to put in place to eliminate rent seekers from taking advantage of these programs.
Dr. Peter Bongo Tukono, hopefully we'll have you in the studio one of these days so that we can go by it step by step as we look at revitalizing the agricultural sector. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon. He's director at the presidency in charge of agri and agribusiness. He's presidential advisor on this party, and this is his area. Now, let me bring in Mr. Joseph Boakye Yadom. You've heard the minister. You've heard government intervention, especially for the poultry sector. Are these what you need to move to the next level?
Melton, I really appreciate the depth of knowledge of Dr. Otukono in the agric industry, especially the poultry. But then you see, our problem as a country is boils down to the fact that all of a sudden, everyone who had knowledge in agriculture under the NPP is off. Now, only people in the NDC who I will say claim to have knowledge in agriculture, then their views are what is taken on board. And that is why we are as a country. Because before December, there were policies going around whereby people were called on phone to come and take bags of feed, already prepared feed, without even whoever was calling knowing whatever feed they were using and what they were going to use the feed for. I think I'll urge multimedia to bring up a poultry. If you really want to have a conversation about poultry, bring up, because there are a lot of issues. Do you know that before or after the election, people were just giving phone calls to come for feed when they didn't even demanded for the feed?
This was after the election.
Yes. And there's a problem there. Now, he was talking about increasing tariffs of the imported chicken. You see, it's like increasing tariffs on home use vehicles because you want to create a market for brand new vehicles. How many people are able to afford brand new vehicles? So if government uses tariff to reduce importation, is our country able to fill in the gap? And I'm telling you for a fact that the Ghana poultry industry, even if we are giving 10% of the total consumption of chicken a day, we will not be able to meet it at this moment. Some people will claim they will be able to meet it, but then when you give it to them, they will not be able to meet it.
I remember some time back, the Food and Drugs Authority encouraged international supermarkets operating in Ghana to patronize only, chicken products done in Ghana, and that they even went to some shop and took away imported frozen chicken.
Elton, to cut you short, it's not working now. And supermarkets in Ghana claiming to sell fresh chicken. And when we say fresh chicken, it is chicken that has never been frozen before. Are selling third imported chicken as I speak with you. And you see, some of these measures, we need a collaboration with the media and a critical action from government to have this problem solved. Accra alone sells, in Accra alone, supermarkets in Accra, and I'll mention their names: ShopRite, MaxMart, Palace, Fairway, Melcom, and the rest. They sell not less than 10,000 chicken, which at carcass weight of 2 kilos. Meanwhile, they take less than 3,000 beds. What is 3,000? They take less than 2,000 beds from the local supplier, and they top it up with imported chicken.
But you yourself admitted that with the capacity you have now, you cannot even meet 10% if it is given.
No, we can meet for the fresh. We are able to meet it, but they are deceiving their customers. And you see, this conversation will not be unless we have a proper conversation around a table or a special discussion on this thing. We will not be able to make a headway. Fresh chicken is chicken that has never been frozen before. If you like, I will take you tomorrow to a supermarket who is selling fresh chicken. But then they are selling a chicken that we don't know when it was produced, but then they thawed it overnight and they are selling it as fresh to their customers. If you want it, I can show you evidence tomorrow.
But some of these supermarkets, they buy from local products. They buy local products,
So
isn't it?
they just take a few from the local supplier just to position themselves that when there's a problem, then they can say they are taking it from here.
All right, Mr. Because of time and because we are running out, so government, the NDC administration, they've made their plans clear as far as the poultry sector development is concerned. What would be your suggestion to them so that this does not also end up as another failure?
See, my major problem is for the government to do a proper audit of the poultry industry from 2012. One, look at how much money from 2012 has been invested in the poultry industry. Who has gotten what? And what is the state of those who got the money? Therefore, when you are going forward, you will know who to give the next money to.
Okay.
That's all. Because you see, it's the same. It's like it's the same circle. And when you ask any of the big poultry farmers, they will tell you they need money. But me as a poultry farmer and a key stakeholder, especially in the broiler industry, I don't think the broiler industry needs money. It needs a proper revitalization of our mindset.
Okay.
To use the money judiciously and to ensure that we have the market for what we produce. Give me 1 minute. Right. He was talking about the fact that people raise birds and they don't have market for it. That is where the problem is. And in all the interventions, that's why I'm saying they should do an audit. All the interventions of government and these international organizations is mainly focused on production. Ghana's problem is not about production. If the government of Ghana or whoever is in charge of whatever says, I should produce 10 million broilers a month for them, I will get farmers to produce it for them. And that is where my issue will end. All right. But how are they going to sell it? And we shouldn't make it an issue between the local production and the importers. The importers should be our partners to ensure that we have a level playing ground, so they support the local production to even up and then grow. Because the moment you make them feel threatened, and at the moment they have a lot of money, they have a lot of support from where they are because most of the chicken that they are bringing into this country is being dumped, which is where the people who are dumping it onto us don't know where else to dump it, and then they are prepared to pay whatever price. So even if they are supposed to kill the local industry, they will have a way of killing the local industry. So what I am suggesting is for a partnership between us and the local the local producers and the importers to come together. Then we have a level playing ground. So we see that we are partners.
All right.
Then they will help us grow, while we also help them grow. Then, as we go along, we will increase our production to meet the levels whereby they will understand easily that they are better off selling the locally produced chicken to their customers than the imported chicken, which they even don't know where it's coming from. I don't know any one person. I don't know any one person who imports chicken from outside, the normal chicken, and that is what the chicken that person eats. That person will buy local chicken and eat in his house, but then they will import and sell to other people. Because why would they do that? Because they know the quality is a bit down. Well, so we all need to we need to
Yeah, I think we have to leave it here. This conversation obviously starting, and we'll have a proper forum so that we can look at the sector in a more broader lens. But thank you very much, Mr. Joseph Boakye-Yiadom, CEO of Joris Farms, and for we've been discussing the government Feed Ghana launch that took place over the weekend. Now, a new